And welcome to episode 46 of the TechnoBuffalo Show. I'm one of your two hosts for today, Sean, editor-in-chief of the site. And I'm joined by Deputy Managing Editor Todd Hazelton.
Hey, everybody.
I've discovered that as the show goes on, I just keep stretching your first name out longer. I'm not sure why, I just do.
Todd Hazelton.
Let's get ready for Todd! How are you doing this week?
I'm good.
It's a little quieter this week.
It is. It's crazy. I wrote that in our newsletter that went out, like sort of finally a little bit of quiet. I've been saying it's been crazy busy. Almost like every week we've had an event.
Yeah.
And if it's not an event, it's something new coming in. It was the Apple Watch, it's G4 or something. And then, later this month we have Google I/O, and then we have in June WWDC. We have E3 in June. So it's going to pick up again. But
yeah, this is like a calm in the storm.
Right.
Before we move into the busy summer season.
Yeah.
And of course, with our increasing entertainment coverage, we have the summer movie season kicking off. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's going to be a long summer, a long hot summer.
Yeah.
But couple topics we wanted to touch on today, and the first one that we were going to tackle was cord cutting,
mm-hmm.
which actually we have a question. We normally don't start with a question right away, but Sachin Bahal asked for, what does it mean to cut the cord? Does it mean internet only and no cable TV subscription? So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. And even though I've been considered the streaming media, expert, and I'm using air quotes for those of you listening to the audio only version of the show. Even though that has been, kind of my wheelhouse, I've still kept a subscription to DirecTV because I'm 43. TV has always come to me in that format in some way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, after looking at the bill this month, I just went, you know what? I sat down and I started looking at like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and even CBS All Access.
Mm-hmm.
And when I can get all my shows, that's it, I'm done. And between all my receivers and programming and all that, insurance, I was paying $151 a month to DirecTV, which I just feel is outrageous. And by the time now here's the thing, I don't consider Amazon Prime a subscription for the video portion because I use the shipping primarily.
Yeah, so I'm with you on that.
I'm not counting that in my calculations. But so I'm still paying $7.99 a month for Netflix because I'm an old enough customer to still be on that rate. Hulu will be $7.99 a month, and CBS All Access will be $5.99 a month, which, by the way, CBS, that really still sucks that you're separate. So I'm looking at, let's see, that's $8.16 plus 6, so that's $22. I'll be paying $22 a month, and compared to $151.
So you're not going to do HBO in any form?
I'm not going to do HBO.
Okay.
Yes, I would like to, but that's $15 a month just for that service.
Right.
Yeah. And the way I look at it, even if let's say I wanted to buy a season of a HBO show, okay, so that's going to be $40. Well, that's a one-time price out of the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
So I can buy 1 to 2 seasons a year and not feel bad about it.
Right.
I'll still come out ahead. Why pay the monthly subscription? I mean, I would like CBS. Yeah, I watch, The Big Bang Theory, Survivor, The Amazing Race. Just yesterday, they confirmed Supergirl. So I have to watch Supergirl because I'm a giant geek. Who knows if it'll suck? I'm still going to watch it.
But so you're saving more than $100. You could actually go out and buy 2 seasons of anything each month and still be saving money.
and still come out ahead.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And it's ridiculous to me. Yes, my internet usage is going to jump through the roof, and I'll have to wait to see if my cable company goes, hey, wait a minute. Which luckily my cable company, I say my cable company, but my internet company, luckily they don't have overages. Their rule is if you go over your limit for 3 consecutive months, then they force you to go to the next package up, which in my case would be another $25 a month, still coming out ahead.
Right. Wow. I think we pay here, and because I have Comcast, so it's all together, like $140, and that's HBO, all of our TV channels, and then I get pretty decent internet. But it's different, it depends on the market you're in too, what you pay.
Yeah, well, I'm in a market where we only have one cable company here, and it's a small company called Cable One, which oddly enough, yesterday I had to call them because my internet went down. And when I called them, they had a pre-recorded message that as of May 3rd, and I had no idea they'd done this, as of May 3rd, they no longer are offering pay-per-view channels.
Huh.
And and they bluntly say there are enough internet options that we do not, and usage has dropped so dramatically that we will no longer be offering pay-per-view.
That's interesting.
I thought that was really interesting. Because if you think about it, if you go on iTunes, you can rent a movie for $2.99, $3.99, somewhere in that range. Same with Amazon. So there are plenty of options.
Right.
So why pay, pay-per-view usually was like $7.99 or so. Why even bother to think about using that?
Right.
So it's going to be an interesting new world for us. As I've mentioned on the show before, I live with my family, because of where we are, and none of us have ever gone without having some sort of regular television coming in. And so, yes, it's going to take some adjustment. The big question I've been getting is what device we're going to use. We're going to use primarily the Roku.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet.
Yeah. Now, I do have a Chrome box attached to my television. So there are certain shows that we watch that are not on any streaming services, but their websites offer streaming. So we'll use the Chrome box to watch those shows from their website.
Nice.
Yeah, and that will be a super simple solution on those. So it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to take some adjustment. We're big, just turn the TV, leave it on for, a bunch of
however long.
time. Yeah. Now we're debating Sling.
Okay.
Because if we subscribe to Sling, then we could just still leave on like Food Network or whatever.
Right, and just let it sit.
But if we got the basic package, that's $20. We're still coming out ahead. It's going to be so hard for us to not come out ahead. We would have to actively try to spend money to not come out ahead.
It's pretty compelling. I don't even know if I could, like with Comcast, I guess I could just do internet. When I lived in New York City, we did. I was technically a cord cutter back then, but I wasn't a cord cutter in the sense that I was streaming stuff because there wasn't really a lot of options at the time. I guess there was Netflix, but I just was really only just paying for internet. We didn't have TV, I guess. But I don't know. I live in a building where Comcast sort of has the building. I don't know that I could even go to just internet. There'd be some TV in there.
Well, I think up until like the past 3 years, I always wondered how cord cutters did it because there weren't that many options.
Right.
And it was a lot of downloading torrents.
Yeah.
But
they're like, oh yeah, I get everything online.
Legally? Yeah, legally. There's the key word. I will be doing everything absolutely legally. And it's going to be an interesting, experience. And I'm sure I'll write some articles about it, and I'm sure I'll talk about it here on the show. And now I will say we're not cutting the cord until after the season finales because we're like, well, we need some time to adjust to the idea. So we're waiting for our shows to finish, like Arrow, The Flash, whatever, and then we're going to cut the cord.
When are those? When did the season?
Within the next 2 weeks.
Oh, wow! So real quick.
Yeah, but by the end of this month, we will have cut the cord.
Now, when you cut the cord, does this work sort of like carriers do, like wireless carriers? You have to pay a fee, or is it just sort of like I'm done and you send everything back?
If we had still been under contract with DirecTV, we had fulfilled our agreement with them, so we are a month to month at this point.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I can just call them up and go, "We're done. Bye."
What about do you know what the cost usually is? I'm just generally curious.
That I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It depends on if you took an agreement with them, which we used to, and we kind of were starting to move towards this, and so we didn't take a new agreement with them a while back, and just stayed on month to month. But just like any contract, there's sure to be an ETF,
right?
Funniest fee I ever ran into, and totally not tech related. I used to belong to a national gym chain, and when I bought my own treadmill, I was like, I went in to quit and all that, and I had not caught in the contract that I signed originally. I had fulfilled my months, which was 18 months. I had fulfilled my months and gone to month. Even with that, I still had to pay them a goodbye month.
Yeah. Yep, I remember that when I had a gym in New York.
I looked at the manager. I was like, "You're kidding me, right?" He's like, "No." I was like, "Look, I'm not going to get mad at you. You didn't write the contract, and I should have read it closer, but you're kidding me, right?"
Crazy. Yeah. The things that sneak into all these things. I'm curious about it too, because we had Fios was finally put in my building, which was, like I said, usually just dominated by Comcast, and they were going around knocking on doors, like, here are our plans and stuff. And I was like, I'd consider it, but I think I'm locked into some kind of contract.
Right. Well, is it still Comcast though?
Verizon Fios.
Oh, Verizon Fios.
Yeah,
okay, so your building's not just strictly Comcast then at this
point. It was. Now, like, as of this week, they just started offering Fios too.
Gotcha. So, well, if
it's good for us. I think the plans are lower than they would otherwise be, because they're competing. Yeah,
since they've got competition to look at now. Yep. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, and I'm sure there will be some frustrating hiccups that I have not foreseen. But
are you worried at all about the nice thing about the TV, at least for me, is that I have usually one remote, except with the Xbox One I have the controller too, and you can use one guide. Like, are you annoyed at all that you're gonna have to bounce around, like, oh man, I got to go on the Chromecast now, so that means I got to get the keyboard and mouse out?
That has crossed my mind, and so I'm actually I'm going to go old school. I'm going to make a sheet, and it's going to list what day we will now watch the show, because of course we're going to have to shift everything because Hulu doesn't have the show at the same time.
Right.
So list what day the show will be on, what service it's on, because is it on CBS All Access or is it on Hulu, and also which device we have to watch it on. Luckily, most of everything will come through the Roku. There's just a couple oddballs that
aren't.
That we'll have to use the Chrome box for.
That comes back to something we were talking about the other week, and it reminds me of the Boxy box, but something that could just pull all of it together into one user interface.
Yeah.
So you pay for this, and this is what shows up, and then you have sort of your typical old, cable listing of channels, but it's just the ones you pay for.
Well, I mean, in theory, yes, we could use the Chrome box for everything, but the Roku's just so blasted easy.
Right.
It's just a lot easier to pick up that little remote, and which now has voice search, which has dedicated buttons for certain services. I don't know.
Roku's great. We love our Roku too.
Yeah. Although
it's almost like this podcast is sponsored by Roku, but it's not.
It's not. We swear.
Yeah, we swear.
We're just big Roku fans. Matter of fact, in my office, I have a Roku television.
There you go.
For those of you listening on the audio, I held up my remote, but which is awesome that they're now building it into televisions.
Yeah,
but no, we are not paid by Roku. This is not a paid endorsement. So as I go along on this journey, I will continue to update people. But the other thing we wanted to talk about, and this is also another potentially cost-saving new service, is Google Fi or Fi or however you want to say it.
I think it's Fi. It's just like Wi-Fi, but Project Fi, because it operates on Wi-Fi too.
Yeah. So for those that don't know what it is, why don't you walk them through it, Todd?
Yeah, so it's just Google, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, announced they're serving as a wireless carrier, but really it's technically a mobile virtual operator, network operator, so MVNO, like you would have from, say, a Boost Mobile or something else that runs on somebody else's network. And in case of Boost Mobile, it's owned by Sprint. But Project Fi operates on T-Mobile and Sprint's networks, chooses the one that has the best signal for you and gives that to you at all times, and then also allows you to place calls over Wi-Fi and stuff like that. And it has agreements, presumably, with T-Mobile for international roaming too, so that your calls are low cost abroad, but you still get the text messages and stuff and data, which is just like what T-Mobile offers when you travel to, I want to say it's like 120 plus countries, something like that. But right
it's
now,
the same countries that T-Mobile does.
Right, exactly. And right now it's an invite only, and there are some sacrifices came out yesterday. You got to give up some of your Google Voice stuff, like your Google Voice number and all that, switch over.
That seems very odd to me.
Yeah, it did seem odd to me too, but I guess they got to assign you something, right? But I don't know, because you can also, like, if I were to switch one of my AT&T numbers, right, that's not on the contract over, I could use that number. So it does seem weird that I'd give up my Google Voice number, but maybe it's something in the back end that's like tied to your account. Like it wouldn't know. I don't know. Because I have a Google Voice number too, but I don't really use it.
I have one too, and I can't remember the last time I actually used it.
So it has that Wi-Fi calling, handoff to the regular networks, low costs. In general, it's low cost. I think if you use a lot of data, then it starts to get a little more expensive because it's $10 gigabyte, pretty much flat rate. However, if you don't use it all, you get that credit back towards your next bill. I believe it works. And I think because it's Google, it's all really easy to manage. Works right on your phone. Does require a new SIM card, they said, obviously, because you can't use, just Sprint or just T-Mobile. It's going to use both. And they haven't really talked about it. I saw even in the invite news yesterday, like how you get that. Presumably they mail it to you overnight or something. And then it only right now works with the Nexus 6. Only in the United States is it sort of available for customers. And again, I see a question here. Do you think it will expand to other countries outside the USA? And I don't think right now, no, it won't, because it's tied with T-Mobile and Sprint. So Google would need different roaming networks or roaming partners. And presumably it could. I mean, T-Mobile in the United States is owned by Deutsche Telekom. Deutsche Telekom, big German carrier, it could do that in Europe, but there's nothing in place right now. And other phones, I think, maybe unlocked phones, but again, it's Nexus 6 right now. I think it's tuned right for them to use. So that's why it's just that. But I'm excited for it to sort of roll out more broadly. Right now, it seems very, very limited.
Exactly. I mean, I'm intrigued by it, but and it could be a huge cost savings for the right people that can use it. It's going to save them money.
Yeah.
But it does need to expand to more handsets for sure. And as Benjamin McDonald was asking about expanding to other countries, I think if it ever does expand to other countries, this could be huge.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a matter of, I think it's in its infancy right now. Well, it's definitely in its infancy.
Yeah, baby.
Very baby steps. When you're limiting not only to one country but to one phone, I don't know. I would love to see them. Maybe if they just teamed up with different manufacturers, like say Samsung was able to offer a Google Fi phone, or OnePlus was able to do a Google Fi. Oh, that would be perfect.
Right? Yeah, something like that. That'd be really awesome.
Still be under no contract.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd still buy your OnePlus at the full price, and then they were able to offer you a package, and then OnePlus gets a cut of the deal. Right,
and it would be simple, I think, because I think it's just a matter of bands and probably a little bit of software, which would be easy. But the bands, and Nexus 6 supports, I don't know right off the top of my head, but a lot. So if it just had the right bands, presumably it would just work. So
yeah. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And Manav 9900 is asking, what do you think about Google Fi and its future? Honestly, I don't know if Google has a grander plan for this. It is such a small baby step that it's almost kind of like let's just toss our hat in here and see what happens.
Yeah. But you have to wonder if maybe it's also like trial stages with Google Fiber, and that's not nationwide yet. At least it has that internet groundwork laid that it could do something huge here, especially if it was able to get ownership of the frequencies. But I think right now it's really interesting to see how they teamed up with T-Mobile and Sprint. It sort of tells you that like one isn't good enough, which I mean, in general, T-Mobile's got great speeds in some areas, same with Sprint, but like standalone, neither one is, on a level of AT&T and Sprint, I think. And combined, it's a pretty good partnership because one of the things that T-Mobile struggles with is indoor connectivity. It's just one of the issues with its bands. And I think it's fixing that with the rollout of 1700 megahertz. But Sprint, obviously, since it operates on different bands, they penetrate buildings a little easier. So you don't have to worry about that so much. It's really sort of, they complement each other. So I think that worked out.
Non-Google Fi related, but I wanted to address this real quick. Nathan Gulserin, not a question, but just wanted to say thanks, TechnoBuffalo, for the LG G3 you sent me for the contest. Been watching for years. You're quite welcome, Nathan. That for anyone that's ever wondered if there's actual winners, there's one of them.
Yeah, there you go. There are people.
We do every once in a while. We do get questions. Yeah, do you actually give these prices out? Yes. Believe me, our shipping bill shows that we actually do give these prices out.
Yeah. We have to tell the companies too.
Yes, we have to fill everyone that supplies us with prizes. We have to tell them who won and everything else. So yes, prizes really do go out. But congratulations, Nathan. Glad one of our podcast fans won something. But let's see. From Brazen Franco, what would happen if Google decided to merge fiber and Fi? Ooh, that's
it sounds like it could. That's sort of what I was saying. It sounds like you could have the standalone service, but so long as Fi is dependent on Sprint and T-Mobile, which it is obviously, then I don't know that it's not going to be like Google taking on AT&T in that sense, where you have AT&T that has and Verizon too, where they provide internet in addition to wireless connectivity services. But I think fiber could potentially give Google the speeds it needs to do something like that, as long as it can get the spectrum, to deploy it. And those things take a long time. I mean, we're talking, we've been watching over the past couple of years LTE rollouts, which T-Mobile, Sprint still rolling it out nationwide. Well, T-Mobile still is.
From David
process.
From David DeMille, has anyone on the TechnoBuffalo team been accepted to Project 5?
No, not yet. I emailed Google, try to see if we could kind of weasel our way in. Haven't heard back, but I also applied, just like everybody else. So just kind of waiting.
Yeah, because I didn't have a Nexus 6. I did not apply, but we did put in applications and we have not heard anything as of yet.
Yeah, working on it.
Hopefully. Let's see here. We've got a bunch of other questions coming in from Benjamin McDonald. Do you think that Android M will support computers, seeing as they said that, quote, Android M will support all devices, unquote, or something like that, though they took it away?
I think it's more, possibly, I think, especially in the future, if they decide to merge Chrome OS and Android a bit more. They sort of are bringing it together. But I think it was just more of the same message that we saw with Android L, Android Lollipop, 5.0 and on, that it would, it's this operating system for everything. So Android Auto, Android Wear, Android TV, Android on your phones and tablets. I think it's more along the lines of that, like on all your screens. I don't know that. I think it's going to support computers. I just don't think it's going to be like this operating system because they have Chrome OS for that. But I would love to see, more apps make their way over to Chrome OS and vice versa. Well, I guess just one way. Don't really need Chrome apps on Android. They sort of already exist.
Let's see here. From Brazen Franco, been getting my entertainment off of just the internet for the last 2 years. Never missed sat so far. YouTube, Twitch, and Popcorn Time. Don't judge me. I used to have Netflix, but then Tuner went down in the beginning of the year. I got locked out for VPN. We won't talk about Popcorn Time.
So that's why you're cutting the cord.
No. Honestly, I went on Popcorn Time once, just to see what it was like.
What it's about.
Worked a lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah.
But that's just not my style. For those that use Popcorn Time, I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah, me neither.
I try to live an above board life, but to each their own. And I have zero. If someone else does it, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was surprised how well it worked. Yeah, the YouTube. See, I'm just not one of those people that can just sit around and jump around YouTube videos all day. It's not. Again, I think it's a generational thing because I'm very used to. Joey brings this up a lot when we're discussing scheduling of posts, and that was a hurdle he felt I had to get over. He's like, you schedule like you're a television network
on the half hour.
Exactly. Because for those that don't know, we write a lot of our posts in advance. They're written that day, but like we get ahead, so I don't want to push them all at once, so I schedule them throughout the day. And I used to do every 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And Joey was like, we need to bring that down. I was like, but why? He's like, because we're not a television network. Oh, yeah, you're right. But
yeah.
So it's YouTube is just I do watch a lot of YouTube. I just usually though I go and look a topic up, watch what I need, and then I leave. I don't just sit there for hours and watch YouTube videos.
I've gotten recently, I like to sit in bed. I have the Chromecast in my bedroom and pull up YouTube, usually like go through the TechnoBuffalo videos of the day and Chromecast them up. And I like that too, but I'm not actually the same way. I don't really bounce around YouTube all that often. And if I do, it's sort of an endless pit of funny videos and then I don't get anything done. That's like Reddit. Like I can't Reddit and myself, like during the workday, I can't do it. So Reddit's like my bedtime, browsing.
A friend a while back emailed me a picture. He was Chromecasting the TechnoBuffalo Show to his 55-inch television. I was like, that's just frightening looking.
I'm like 32 inches.
Yeah, it was me on the screen at the time. I was just like, no, that's not, no. But for those of you that may be Chromecasting us, don't let me know. From Juan Vargas, do you think Google will ever release Chrome OS as a standalone so I could install it on a regular PC or laptop?
I'd love to see that. I wonder. I mean, especially now that it's running on Intel chips, and it has been for a little bit. But that's a good point. That'd be cool.
That could be very cool. Yeah, I kind of like when people were big into making Hackintoshes. Mm-hmm.
Although I think in general, and like I'm not knocking Chromebooks at all, but it is very much just like, I mean, if you already have the Chrome browser, it's sort of very similar, right? Like aside from the Android app support.
Excellent question from David DeMille. Is there any reason you guys don't use Apple TV? Just curious. I have a couple reasons. One of the big ones, and
I own one.
I own one too. For those listening on the audio show,
yeah, exactly.
I'm holding up the Apple TV remote. I love Apple design. I think this may be the worst designed remote in the history of man.
It absolutely is. And then it was funny. There's a report the other day about, they might add touch controls to the new remote. And like every story, and I wrote it in ours, was like, have you ever tried to go through a list, a long list with that remote? It's terrible.
Hate this remote with a fiery passion.
Yeah.
The other thing is that Apple TV doesn't offer near the number of channels that a Roku does. Roku has over 2,000 channels. Apple has a much tighter lockdown on what channels they offer. And when it comes to a service like Netflix, I just really, really hate this remote. Mm-hmm. So that's a large chunk of the reason I don't watch or I don't use Apple TV nearly as much as I use Roku.
Yeah. I ultimately end up, and I have a Roku, I like it a lot, but I ultimately end up just using whatever system's connected. So either the PS4 or Xbox One, or a Chromecast. It's just quicker for me. And Apple TV is connected, just not usually on.
From Nathan Gullerson, I can beat that. I stream you to my Chromecast on my 75-inch Ultra HD. You are all
ducking.
I bet my beard looks magnificent in Ultra HD. But
oh man.
Oh, good Lord.
It might look like Minecraft though, because we're on our webcams aren't very good on an Ultra HD TV, just pixels.
Excuse me, I'm going to go out and punch a tree. From Karaoke, thoughts on Apple's potential plan to try and convince music labels to end the current freemium model, like what YouTube and Spotify currently does, and make all users pay a monthly fee for streaming. If that rumor is true, Apple is going to gain so much ill will.
Yeah,
staggering.
I feel like the free model works because, for example, I used Spotify for free for a while, and I was like, this is really great. I'm willing to pay for it. So like if it's driving people to then pay for the service, which then whatever, I know artists like Taylor Swift feel like they don't make enough money from Spotify, but if then the artists get paid because I'm paying for it and it's a legitimate business, then like the free model does work and it's fair and it's ad supported and stuff like that.
Well, to me, I always like it. How is the free model really any different than radio?
Right.
It's not. And just like you, I didn't pay. I don't know why. I'm not a huge fan of Spotify. I much prefer Pandora, and I pay for Pandora, and that's as I lay in bed every night, catching up on the news of the day on my iPad. I've got a Pandora channel, streaming from my television. Mm-hmm. So yes, I do pay, and the reason I pay is I don't want to hear the ads.
Right.
If they
I like Spotify they have curated lists too, which is kind of similar.
I don't know. I mean, we've heard that the music industry hates the free versions, and I think that speaks more to. I'm going to be blunt and get somewhat political for half a second, for the just blatant greed of the music industry.
Yeah, I was going to say they hated Napster too. So pick one.
The music industry is easily one of the greediest industries I have ever seen.
Yeah.
It is staggering how they feel they should be paid for absolutely everything. It's just like having owned a retail store. I could not play the radio, mind you, in my store without paying a licensing fee, because then that was considered a public performance.
Really?
Yeah. So even though the radio was behind our counter and we kept it at a very low volume, so long as we kept it below a certain decibel level, which I can't remember what that number was, I didn't have to pay.
That's obscene.
Yeah, because under a certain decibel level, it was considered personal use. And I'm like, you're going to come in here with a decibel meter and measure how loud I'm playing my radio.
It's terrible. And it comes back to like here, Spotify, people are paying for music. We're not using Napster. We're not using, what was it, Kazam? We're not like we're legal now. So like take it.
Yeah.
Be happy.
Staggering. From Relaxed Like a Cat. Also, if it hasn't already been asked, what do you think about the EU saying that Skype is too much like Sky?
Yeah, that was crazy.
The
logo was part of it.
I don't remember who wrote that one, but when I was editing it, I just kept reading it and going, "This can't be real."
I had to go back through the story too. Because BBC News wrote it, and I was like, "What? Skype and Sky?" And I know it came down to like partially the Skype logo has clouds and blah blah blah. But come on, you got to be.
Back at the time Skype first came around, I was working in the Web 2.0 space.
Mm-hmm.
The Skype logo is just like any other Web 2.0 logo at that time.
Oh yeah,
that art style was everywhere. They were not trying to imply
bubbly.
They weren't trying to imply clouds in the sky. That was the most ridiculous story I've read all this week. I was mind boggled by it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely on Skype's side of the. Even think about the way you say the word. You don't actually say Skype.
Right, you say Skype.
Yeah,
nobody's like, did you say Sky or Skype?
Yeah,
Skype is blue.
It reminds me of when King Games was trying to trademark the word saga.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're going to learn that Sky Television owns the rights to the word Sky.
Right.
I mean, it's
terrible.
It's ridiculous.
And Microsoft said that they're confident that an appeal will work in their favor, and it has to. I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got a lot of questions going here. From okay, that's a Greek name. From Kutkin, I believe. Hey guys, is Roku available in other countries? I'm from Greece. There is no Netflix support, but Apple TV is available. Do you have any idea? Yes, Roku is available. I know at least in the United Kingdom. I don't know beyond and Canada. I don't know how much they've expanded into the rest of Europe, though. So you may want to go to Roku.com and look into that. If it ever comes there, it has my high recommendations.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Let's see here from Nathan Gullison. I switched from my Galaxy S3 to an iPhone 6 Plus, and I actually love the smoothness of iOS, but I feel it's missing a few things. What would you like to see in iOS 9?
I'd like to see the notifications changed to be more like Android or better.
I agree.
The notification shade is useless for me. I just have to go through and clear everything.
Totally agree. The notification shade is completely useless.
Yeah. Siri needs a lot of work too, and I think apparently is going to get a lot of work. But Google now is leaps and bounds better. I think Cortana is better in a lot of ways. Like right now, Siri doesn't sort of like tap into your stuff, like your email to get your flight schedules and your packages, and I really like that about Cortana and Google now. So I hope it comes to Siri.
Yeah, I fully agree with you on everything you mentioned, Todd. The notification shade to me is completely useless. And what I really hate is you'll get a notification and I keep making the mistake of hitting the home button to turn on my screen. And because of Touch ID, it immediately takes me in and I can't see what the notification was, even what service it was for.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many times I've been like, well, I don't know what it was. If it was important, they'll get a hold of me.
Yeah. And I don't think, actually, I'm positive, but it's not. It's not in order of when they come in either.
Nope.
So it's just like if you go to notifications, it's just like messages, App Store, Netflix, and it's just like what? Like
they should at least give you the ability to do a chronological order.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Because then if you miss it, you just go in and you're like, oh, there it is. That was
yeah.
Maps.
Maps. Speaking of maps, from Aaron Sahido, I believe. Thoughts on Nokia's Here mapping system and whether they should enter into a deal with Facebook. They're the belle of the ball without even trying at the moment.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, nobody was talking about Here maps until like recently. And I think it's because all these companies sort of want their own mapping system, right? And you see, we covered a report this morning that at first I was like, oh, it's the rumor that BMW, Audi, and Mercedes-Benz want to buy Here maps again. We've heard that. Except for this rumor came from Forbes. Actually, it sounded pretty legitimate. Those three car companies are ready to make a bid on Nokia Here maps. And the reason is for self-driving cars. And they don't want Apple and Google, who already have maps, and, Facebook, I don't think they're going to get into self-driving cars, but Uber had talked about it. That was another interest in here. But they don't want these Silicon Valley firms now having Nokia maps, and so basically owning all of the mapping technology for self-driving cars and sort of running the industry there. And the fear, I guess, is that Google will launch this self-driving car operating system that powers its own maps, and everybody will get it for free. And then here are these car companies sort of, out on their own. So they want Nokia Here maps to stay ahead of it, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I find it interesting how everyone seems to be, asking for a dance with Here.
And it's crazy because Nokia Here Maps is okay. It works on Windows phones and stuff. I still prefer Google Maps. And now it works on Android Here Maps, and it's great for offline stuff, free voice-guided navigation, all kinds of stuff. But it just was sort of like, I don't think very popular among most people, and it was just sort of this blah. And now all of a sudden it's like Facebook wants them, Uber wants them, these car companies want them, and you can see how important really good mapping software is.
Yeah, no, totally. From Sachin Bahal, will the Oculus Rift be worth the wait when it comes out in early 2016, or is it better to go with one of its competitors? I have not had a chance to really try many of the VR headsets, but Todd, you've tried many.
Yeah, I tried it and the Vive. I like them both. I think they're both going to be really exciting. Definitely worth the wait. I wish it was out now, but I'm willing to wait for it. I really want to see the price and requirements. I was going to rebuild my PC, which you guys know that I've been running Windows 10 on it, but it's just so slow these days that I'm not using it. But I'm going to wait now, I think, until early 2016 when I see the hardware requirements for Oculus Rift and stuff, so I know I'm building a system that, will power that thing. Because what I've seen in my demos, it was really mind-blowing, but I don't know what kind of hardware, for the Vive and the Rift was running. They wouldn't really tell us, except for that they were NVIDIA graphics cards. So it's going to be an expensive computer and then probably an expensive headset.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I'm not completely sold on the concept of needing VR yet. I'm going to have to see some definite use cases, and because I've gone through enough gaming peripherals over my years, to just, I have a big question on these sorts of things. I'm going to have to see Oculus or any VR headset get a killer app that is a must-have.
Yeah, I want to see like a huge, multiplayer game world that you run around in. I mean, that would just be because you really feel like you're there. So
this will be the resurrection of Second Life.
Yeah.
Which, I read an article about that. Second Life is still going.
I saw that too. What the heck?
And it has more users than it did at the time where it was supposedly the hottest thing.
Who's using it?
I have no idea. I've never once used it.
Maybe Apple has like all their meetings in Second Life and we can sneak into them.
Remember when
CSI talk about the iPhone 7?
Remember when CSI built an entire episode around Second Life?
No. Did they?
They built a mystery episode. A mystery episode. They built a murder mystery around Second Life, played a part in it.
Oh, man. Well, I love the South Park episode about Oculus where they couldn't tell if they were in the real world or the Oculus world.
Yeah.
They didn't know who was wearing it.
From Kudokan, VR or AG, which do you think is better? For those that don't know, AG stands for augmented reality. I'm far more interested in augmented reality. I'm not going to make the comment that I made a couple weeks ago about augmented reality. I heard about that one on Twitter a lot. It wasn't anything horrible. It was the fact that I basically said that I needed things to help me deal with reality, which wasn't quite the way I meant it. But
I think they're just totally different, right? Like VR to me seems
very
awesome
different
for gaming and stuff, and then augmented reality. What we've seen with Microsoft HoloLens is, put a YouTube video here on the wall and then fix your sink. I don't know why. Why does it always come down to plumbing with the HoloLens? But like that's. They like did a demo of it. Like, how often do you fix your sink anyway? But it does come down to that. Just get a plumber.
You beat me to the joke. I was going to be like, you know what? There's this great technology that's three-dimensional and everything. It'll even do the work for you.
Yeah.
No, I'm far more interested in augmented reality than I am in virtual reality. They're two very different creatures, really, when you look at them. I can see a lot of potential uses to augmented reality. Imagine, say you're driving, and sometimes you're like, wait, is that the road? No, it'd be great if on an augmented headset, an arrow pointed like and went there, right there.
Sort of like heads-up displays, which I guess is a form of augmented reality, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, HUDs are definitely a version of augmented reality. Anyway, that is going to bring this week's episode to a close. As always, we do thank you for joining us. I know it did go fast. As always, you can find us on the iTunes store by searching for the TechnoBuffalo Show, and we do appreciate if you rate and review us. That does help out the show. You can also subscribe on Pocket Casts. You can subscribe via RSS feed. You can find us on the Stitcher app, which means you can listen to us anytime, anywhere. Anywhere there are podcasts, you can find the TechnoBuffalo Show. Until next week, I'm Sean Onny. I'm the editor-in-chief of TechnoBuffalo. I've been joined by Deputy Managing Editor Todd Hazelton.
Bye, everybody.
We'll see you all next week. Till then, take it easy. Bye-bye.